What's on the menu for today? We whip up a batch of ash cake with Remnant from the Ashes. This is an action role playing third person shooter developed by Gunfire Games, published by Perfect World Entertainment. It was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One in August of 2019. Um, let's see, this game. Yeah, we played a lot of this game. Um, it's a three player. You can do 3 player co op in this game. So this is kind of up our alley when we're missing one of the flavors, which, as you can see, we're missing a flavor. So it's a good time to talk about a 3 player co op game. So Remnant from Ashes. I mean, we have put a lot of time into this game. It plays really well. I mean, if you had to compare this to any other game out there, Nick, what would you compare this game to?
Dark Souls with guns. It's
I
pretty
agree
much
100%.
yeah. It's pretty
Dark
much
Souls with guns.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
But
It's
not
very much.
quite that difficulty though, I don't think.
I mean, when you play by yourself, it is very difficult.
Well, I mean, when
You
we
know.
played what was it, the DLC or whatever,
Oh,
the
Oh
that's
first
true.
man.
Yeah,
DLC
that
that
got
was
nasty.
super difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really has gotten to some points where we kept, by the time we stopped playing before the first DLC came out, we could run through a map even on a harder difficulty and not die. But
Yeah.
then when they loaded up the DLC, we were just getting our junk pushed back in all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It was hard after that part.
It was really hard, and now that the game's been out since, like I said, August 20 to 2019, there's been 2 DLCs for it: Swamps of Corsus and like Subject 2923.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and then and then I think they were talking about a prequel game like the Chronos Before Ashes, but I haven't heard anything more on that one.
That one did come out.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, and apparently that game had already been out before Remnant from the Ashes. It was a
Oh, okay.
VR only title. So
Oh,
this one that
interesting.
they've
Hmm.
created now is non VR. So it's the same game. They've kind of redid some stuff. I think updated graphics a little bit, but it's basically non VR. So now you can play it without having the VR. It's no longer a VR
Oh.
experience.
Well, cool. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't checked that one out, and I just wondered what it was about. I'd heard about the prequels, but I didn't actually get to play it or check it out. But yeah, this one's got 2 DLCs for it. And one of the interesting things about it, it's typical co-op game and how they make things. They basically scale it with the multiple amount of people you put in, and it seems like the scaling that they do is not necessarily making the enemies uh, take more damage, except for the bosses, but they actually throw more enemies at you. Because I think when we've tried to play before, and when we added Shane in, it was like the amount of enemies just like went out the
Yeah.
window. And it
Oh
was just
yeah,
like, we're just gonna throw everybody at the map at you at this one little corner.
right. Because there's
So
3 max players, and
yep.
then once you put in all 3, yeah, I mean enemies just come
It
at you from
gets
everywhere.
it gets pretty stupid hard. It's that DLC especially. The
Right.
but I don't know. I don't think it was overbearing at all in the regular game. But that DLC, the last time we played, geez, that swamp area. Oh my god.
Right. What I do like about the is it's kind of set up. It kind of reminds me of how like Diablo is set up a little bit. That you have like adventure mode,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and that's how you play multiplayer, and you can run through the different zones. Because every zone is kind of like procedurally generated. Because you can run through a zone one time and have one boss, and then run through the zone again, and it's a different layout and configuration, and have a different boss. That's what I kind of like. So it has that replayability because of that.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know.
Yeah, the boss changes were really cool because you guys are playing through an area, and then when I jumped in, we went back through it, and you're like, "All right, we're gonna come up to this boss." Nope, there's a dragon. It's like that's not what you want, not what you expect.
Yeah.
And the
And
bosses are fantastic. I love every boss on this
yeah, it reminds me of old school raids a little bit, where you just can't stand in one place, and like the boss isn't just like a giant bullet sponge. There's like
thing.
mechanics that you have to do. You have to go, all right, guys, we got to run clockwise and stay stay like 20 meters away from each other while we're running, so the
Yep.
boss doesn't just throw everything at that one little spot where we're all at and kill us. So
Right.
there's tactics involved, which is really nice.
Yep.
Yeah, and the bosses have different move sets which you can learn, right? But
Yep. Mhm.
so you'll as you play them, just like in raids, so, for MMOs and stuff like that, you'll kind of learn that okay, oh, he's doing this animation, so I know he's gonna, that one in the swamp, that big fat boss, that runs around and
With his
crashes
butt
through
hanging out in the
walls.
pot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he throws his
I
hammer,
love
but
that
when he
guy.
does the animation where he's about to throw it, okay, he's going to throw his hammer, so I need to make sure I'm ready for that so I can dodge out of the way. And he's going to do different move sets and stuff like that. And then there's some bosses that we like and some that we're kind of like, I hope this
Right.
boss doesn't come up because this boss is like insane. That one that's in the very first the city that goes underground, the like hedgehog thing
Oh my god. Yeah,
that
because you don't know when he's
Yep.
poisons
gonna
the
pop
whole
up.
area and pops up a bunch
Hmm.
of ads and everything. Like
Yeah.
that one's a pain to fight.
He's pretty much just yeah. Some of the bosses are just like boss focus down. Anytime the boss is up, you're on the boss. Don't care if there's ads. You just run around away from the ads while
Hmm.
the boss is up, and then do ad cleanup when the boss isn't available to hit.
Yep.
Hmm.
But every boss is, every boss that we fought is unique. And I mean, we've ran through map because some maps have secrets to how you can get a boss unlocked.
Yep.
Like you have to do this in this order to unlock a boss or a mini boss or a midpoint boss. Because there's, we ran across that city map. Another one of the I can't remember which zone that one was in. I think that was Earth. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that was
Earth.
Earth that we were in. And there's a tree that's just
Hmm.
innocuous looking tree when you come out next to a damaged looking bus or school bus, and you're like,
Hmm.
I can interact with the tree. What does this do? And it spawns an enemy
Yep.
or a mini boss. But there's also a secret that if you don't kill that mini boss, it affects the boss at the end of the game or allows you to do something different. So I kind of like that aspect of this one that you can run through it and the way you tackle it at different times changes the end boss or changes something of the map.
Yeah.
Right, and
It's
it also
definitely.
changes. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, it's definitely one of those games that live up to the no two plays will be the same. I mean,
Hmm.
there really is that much variety and you know, neat little twists and turns that you could take. I mean, we found a dude up in that bus. I think it was a plane or a bus up in that tree area there. You
Oh
could talk
yeah,
to, get like a pocket watch or something, and then that does something. And it's just, I love the way the developers, hands down, did a fantastic job of putting all the little things in there that aren't just there to be put there. They actually have substance, and it's great. I really like it.
Yeah, and you can talk to. We were talking about exactly going off what you said, Shane, and what you said as well, Patrick. Is you can go talk to that tree or go talk to the guy with the pocket watch or whatever, and depending on what you do, not necessarily when you talk to them, but what you do before you get to that point
Hmm.
depends on what outcome you're going to get. So you could get an item, or you could get a boss, or you could get nothing at all, or you could find a secret location. I mean, I think it was, I can't remember if it was me and you, Patrick, or me and you, Shane. Remember we found those like we were playing through and we found those guys, the gang that was in
oh
that
yeah, the
like
gang
shop.
that wanted you to pay to pass or
Yeah,
fight.
Down in the sewer.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I remember that.
that was like one of those like one-off chances to get there.
Hmm.
Right,
And again, when you get there, you get two choices. And depending on what you do, has two different outcomes.
Yep.
So
right.
you want to play it again and hopefully get back to that spot because it almost seems like random when you get back there. So you want to hopefully like, oh, I hope when we spawn into this procedural generated world that's there, and so I can get back there so I can do the other option and see what that
Right.
comes out with. Because you might get armor or you might get some sort of item or a
Or weapon
ring or
schematic or
weapon
something.
or
Yeah.
something that's going to be pretty cool to have. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just like the amount of replayability in this game is high because you want to go back and get these other items because
Yeah.
every item in the game is beneficial in some way, and that's what makes the game really cool too. Is there's not one item that we're like, oh, that's kind of a crap item. All of them were really
Yeah.
cool and had their own
Right.
cool aesthetics to them. You
Yeah.
just kind of like you just kind of after you get them all and everything, you're just kind of like, which one do I like the best? Which one do I want
Right.
to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many times, Nick, I made you run the Earth map because I'm like, I just want the Chicago typewriter
Right,
weapons.
yeah, and that was
And
like
I'm just
the one that barely came up. I think we did end
right.
up
Hmm.
finding one eventually,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
but
using
that's
it
like
currently.
you know, I mean, the
Yeah.
percentage I think when we looked up on how often that spawns was super low, if I
Right.
remember
And you're
right.
like, I don't want to go looking for
It was
this
like a
darn thing, but
5% chance that it would spawn in the area
right.
or something like that. And we did find one, that you got,
Yep.
but it was
Yeah.
just like it's
You
crazy.
know, and that's one thing I really enjoy about the game as well is the weapon setup. I mean, you have your melees, you have your long range, and they're all so varied and so different and so freaking cool. I mean,
Yep.
really, your starting weapons are even cool, and they're as generic as you can get, but they're done well. Uh, it's really interesting the process they took into those weapons, like trying to find your Chicago typewriter. You can't just go get it. I mean, you got to work your butt off and find it and earn it. And that's one thing I really have to say the developers did well is make the weapons varied and unique, and the combat with the weapons are fantastic. The controls are tight. Switching
Oh
from
yeah.
melee to long range, no problem. I mean, it take you 30 seconds to get that down.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the controls are very tight when you think about it. To have that. I mean, because in my opinion, it's not quite Dark Souls level difficulty, but it does remind me of Dark Souls, and they even borrow some things like
Hmm.
fog walls before bosses and stuff like that.
Yep.
But the coordination that it takes, it reminds me of like an old WoW dungeon or something where everybody has to coordinate together because the bosses are geared when you join with three players, it gears that boss for three players. So he has the
Hmm.
health and the ad spawns of three players. And if one player goes down, it's pretty difficult for the other two players to pick up. I mean, I remember the treant that we fought multiple times when we were trying to figure out how to basically learn his move set and bring him down. And we were all staying in too close, and he would just drop a bunch of exploding pods on us and kill us all. And then we tried range, but we were all together in a corner when we were trying to range him down. He's like, "Well, I'm just going to drop spore bombs on
Yep.
all of you." And then okay, you stay on the south corner, you stay on the east corner, and you stay on the west, and we'll just start doing circles around him. And we're like, oh, okay. So it was kind of like a coordinated dance type game. So as strategy, so very tight. It's an interesting concept too because when you think about it, it's the same. It's the same. What like I think it's five areas. Yeah, you have Earth, Yasha, Rom, Corsus, and Resium. It's the same five zones that are kind of like broken up into like multiple parts. Like you go through, let's say Earth, for instance, you go into Earth, and then you go into like the underground, or you
Hmm.
go through the abandoned city part of it, and you come out into another area, and then you go through that. So it's kind of like three acts almost per zone. But what's interesting is that it still has exploration in it. Even though you've played that map like seven times, you still want to check every corner to make sure there's no hidden secret in this map because they're all procedurally generated. And sometimes you get a chance to get like this mini boss or this encounter.
Yeah.
Well, there's
So,
that one place in the desert that has that. What was it, like a door or something that could procedurally generate and appear? I think it was a
Yeah,
door. It was like some sort of door that could come up in your when you loaded the level, and it
right.
had a low, just kind of like the Chicago typewriter. I don't think it had as low, but it had a low probability of spawning.
uh,
Right.
I remember we did that desert map several times to get that door to
Trying to get it
spawn,
spawned.
so we could go through it. And I think that led to the merchant or led to something.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, because
uh,
they had the golems that needed powered or
Right.
something missing from the golem, and we were trying to get that. Yeah,
yep.
so I mean, it has that aspect of you know exploration. Even though I've done the map a dozen times, you still fully explore it to go find that thing you didn't quite catch in one of the times, or hope to get that very random rare uh, spawn or rare
Yeah.
thing to pop up. So yeah, I mean, it's that exploration is pretty interesting when you consider that the game still has exploration even though you've done the same map about a dozen times.
Oh yeah. I mean, how many times have we went through that city area and we still hit every floor of every building, every corner, and almost every time? Oh, hey, look at this! Didn't see that before. That's cool. I mean,
Right.
every area is like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
every time we went through it, it felt like, you know, well, we'd first start out in the area and be like, "Oh, this all looks familiar," and then we
mm,
get to another part and be like, "Well, that doesn't look right. That wasn't
yeah,
there before." I mean, they would just change. I mean, when you think about it and how the way they did the, how the way the map procedurally generated itself was not like just these certain sets of generation. It was just like all around the place, I mean, it could be just a minor tweak where
Hmm.
now this building is here and it has 3 floors, or
Right.
now this building that was there before, but now it has a different entryway and it has different stuff inside of it. So it was really weird. It was really awesome to see, like, where you would start a map and it would look very much the same, but then you would start seeing things in the map that did not look the same as they did before. And then somehow the map started looking very different. So I like the way they did that. I mean, this game, I hope that they make a sequel to this. This is an absolute gem of a game. I don't know how many
yeah,
people
Hmm.
played it, but it should be played by anybody that wants to play it. An awesome co-op game,
mm, yeah.
because it is an awesome co-op game.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's why this was in our hidden gems list. I mean, how much did the three of us sit and just pound away at that game?
I mean, enough to beat it multiple times.
Right.
Yeah, well, almost
Me and
enough
Pat to
to
beat
beat it.
it.
Because every
Me,
time I jump in, the game got too dang hard because it saw the power coming at it. It was cheating.
yeah. I mean, me and Nick beat it for his game, and then he joined me in mine, so we could beat it on mine. You
Yeah.
know, so
And then every time I
um,
jump in, it got scared, had to cheat. Damn thing game genied on me.
But I still do want to go back and play the other DLC. I mean, this is,
Yes.
a
we
little bit
we
more in
kind of
depth.
talk about, we've talked about before, and I know Shane has, about buying DLC for a game and how that's not, something we often do, which I think is the same for all of us. But this is one game that I wanted to buy the DLC for. I love this game
Yeah.
so much that I wanted to experience more of it, and I just want more of it. And we still didn't beat the swamps one, which was, I mean, that was
Oof.
just, we tried for several hours. It was just incredibly hard to get anywhere.
Well, it
Um,
was like a mage every second on you, just
yeah,
blasting you.
the mages are a pain, and then I think there was 3 DLC for it, right? Or is it just two?
There should only be two. I thought it was Swamps Like Courses and Subject 2923, which Subject 2923 is the last one, which adds like a new area in the boss. But Swamps Like Courses, what made it hard was that it started you out with like nothing but pistols and scraps, and you had to upgrade, and
Oh
it
yeah,
was
they
kind of
had
like a
that
survival.
mode that was a survival
Yeah,
mode. That's right.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that
and it
was
was
that
running
was
through
pretty
the.
fun. That was pretty fun. It was
It was hard.
challenging, but it
Except
was
for the
pretty
It
lack
was
of survival.
fun, right? But I
well, it
still
would
want to
never
play. I
fail.
think we have the
Yeah.
Prisoner 2049 DLC. I think we
Yep.
have it, or at least me and Shane. I think we have it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I have it.
I think we all have it, so definitely need to check that out at some point.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The difficulty is that it puts you in the swamps of courses, and courses has those mages that can spawn the little fast movers, and then when you
Mhm.
blow off their head or arms, they crawl on the ground at you, and you're like, "Come on, I got to kill these
Right, and if
guys
you don't
twice."
kill that, they respawn and they're back to being
Yep.
Right.
full blown mages again. So I
Right.
don't think
Yeah, and when you pop the mage,
Prisoner 2049 or whatever it is, that's a new area you said, right?
yeah, 2923 was a focus on the origins of the dreamers and adds new areas and new bosses.
Oh, okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
think
we
that's
should
the one that
definitely check
added
it out.
Resium. Yeah, that one added the Res. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Reisum area, Resium.
I'll
Yeah, we
accept it.
definitely gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the
So,
adventure mode was the one where we went through the portals, right? Where we started out in the like kind of hub area where you could choose your guns and stuff, and then we went
Yes.
yep.
through the
Yeah.
staircase and went through the portal. That was pretty fun, though. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. It was.
It was
I don't
hard.
think I don't think I could really find anything to complain about this game. I mean, controls great. Uh, the story, I don't really get, but you don't have to. The game's that much fun. I mean, I guess if I'd have paid enough attention,
It does have a story, and it's a pretty interesting story. And
I didn't pay
it's about
attention.
human. It's funny. I mean, I like the story. And the story can change. I mean, the story is kind of linear, but because you go through the different zones and you talk to like the big, I don't even remember what he looks like, just like a giant, tall blue alien. Where you fight him, so you can access the under whatever tree or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a story behind it, and it's a pretty decent story. I don't know what the story is behind the. I mean, because the what's the guy's name? The subject 2923, because that's the guy that you fight at the end.
Mm.
Is because he's on the gurney and you go in and
Oh,
you
right,
fight him
right,
in the dream world,
Hmm.
and you fight a looks like a giant butterfly guy, in
right.
the end with
That guy's hard though. The end boss is
he is
really
very
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it took us a couple of times together to beat him when we played for the first time until we learned the mechanics because it's not you just can't like I mean he has like he has million of health, like millions of
Yeah.
health.
Yeah.
And you shoot him and you're like, I'm doing 60 or I'm doing 200 damage. There's no way I can peel
Yeah,
off that much health.
you just that life bar is just like boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
as you're
Yep.
going through there. So it's like it's
And
probably almost I w- at least a
well,
30-minute fight.
yeah, I mean, and we, because it took us
Yeah.
a couple of times to figure out that what you had to do is when you entered the dark area,
But
like the
yeah.
portal would open up and you had to go through it, and the object was to kill as much of the enemies inside there because it builds up a charge on yourself, and then when you pop out, you can hit him for like thousands of
Hmm.
damage
Yeah.
for a short amount of time. And but you
And
have to hit
We
him in
found
like
that
certain
laser
spots.
weapon that
That was just like
that would
insane.
yeah.
decimate, and that would do the most damage when you came out. So we would go in there and like just use the
Yeah,
strong handgun or a shotgun or something like that
yeah,
to take out the enemies inside. Then once we got out, switch over to that laser and
like a
just
beam rifle or whatever.
beam
Yeah.
rifle,
Yeah.
knock his health down as fast as we could.
Well, you had to also wait too. I mean, once you had to pop out at the right time because you had to wait until like his chest opened up or
Right,
exposed like the glowing
Yep.
area. So it takes a lot of coordination. While one person's inside, they're taking constant damage while they're inside there, and you're just like, all right, dude, he's not opened up quite yet, and you don't want to come out too early because then your stacks will wear off before he
right,
becomes vulnerable. So you're like
Hmm.
trying to talk to your buddy and be like, can you survive another 5 seconds? He's not ready yet. I got to kill these enemies,
Yeah.
and the whole time his health is ticking down because you're taking damage inside the portal
right.
area.
Because he
And
doesn't open up
Yep.
until your friend on the outside kills the ads, and then
right,
he opens
Yep.
up.
or
So while you're inside the dark zone, you're just like, "Hey man, how you doing on those ads?" And you're like, "I'm getting them down." You know, and so
Y'all
the
need to
other
hurry.
buddy's trying to kill the ads down, so he'll open up so that way you can pop out. And it eventually
Yeah.
comes down to the point where like I'm
I just
jumping
got to come out.
because I'm going to die if I'm going to stay in this
Yep.
dark zone. And hopefully you get these ads dead or close to dead when I'm out. And so
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and hopefully
dark
there's
one's pain.
none where you're popping out at because usually when you pop out, you have like 10% life left because you stayed in as long as you could.
Yep.
right.
And there's like that one enemy that's just hanging by where you're popping out of the portal, like, oh my god, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
I got 60%, I got 60 stacks on me. Come on, help me out here. So I do love that you have that I don't know, that dance, if you will, that choreographic old type boss battles to where it's just choreographed. You just have to know what you need to do, and your teammates have to know what they need to do. And if one of you fails, it pretty much kills it for the
Takes
whole group. I mean,
everybody.
yeah, because it's just like you can't keep up
Yeah,
on your
it's
own. Or
it's
what?
strong coordination between your co-op buddies, and that's one cool thing about it too. I mean, we talked about the co-op, and that's one of the great fundamentals of the co-op is you have to work with your teammates to get through this game. There's
Hmm.
Yeah,
no lone wolves in this one.
even through the trash mob kind of because if you get in a situation where you're trying to take out one of those mages we were talking about and it usually takes a full clip to get the head to pop off of the body and
Right.
you're usually like telling your teammates you're like hey there's a mage over here and so they're all coming and you're like shoot him and you're like okay the head popped off but you can't reload fast enough to kill it before the body respawns your teammates are having to come in and make sure they finish him off before he respawns. I mean especially on the harder difficulties, it's like some of the enemies are bullet sponges, and you have to work together to just kill them because there's like multi-tiered trash mobs. There's like the guys who take just a little bit of damage and they're dead, and there's guys who take like half a clip, and there's guys that take like 4 clips. Like you and your buddies are just unloading into the thing, and he's just like still coming at you. So there's a lot of coordination, and the game even has some pretty good aggro mechanics in it. Like you can do enough damage to pull the guy off of one of your teammates who's just getting railed. You know.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. The enemies are definitely cool though. I really like the
Yeah.
enemy designs and the variations. It's not a bunch of rehash from map to map to map. I mean, every map has got its own characters, its own and the desert map probably have some of my favorite enemies in it.
I think it has the hardest enemy
I would
and
agree.
the
I,
hardest trash
I
mob.
don't know about the hardest. I think the forest map has the hardest ones.
I
Which
would
guy
put
do you
that
think
in
is the hardest?
tight, but
Oh yeah, I guess that has a
Like
lot
the
of
Dark
invisible.
Elf Forest map or whatever. That one has some
yeah,
pretty hard mobs in there.
Yeah, Yasha or whatever it is.
And it has some
Yasha.
pretty hard bosses in there too. The one that you
yes,
fight that what throws the fire bombs and he kind of
Mm,
like disappears. He's like a ninja with fire bombs
yep,
and stuff. That one was a tough. That's a tough fight.
yep. The swamp,
yeah,
I think, has my favorite boss though. The we've talked about him before. The big fat goblin guy with
Oh yeah,
yeah.
pots on his
I was
head
hoping
and
you
And
were
his
gonna say
butt hanging out.
not the not the butterflies that are on the bridge. That
oh, those
oh
suck.
that's I
Oh
think that's the
God.
worst boss battle in this game is the
I
butterflies.
don't know how many
Yeah,
times.
I would say that. Yeah, that
I
was.
don't know how many times we had to do that one
Oh
before
yeah,
we
because
beat
that
it.
bridge is super narrow, and you
Yeah,
have that one butterfly that comes in. He throws ads out, he throws projectiles out, and then when you kill him, he it spawns another, or he splits into two. No, he
no, he
splits into
splits
two,
into
right?
two, and then they do the cross beams.
Yeah, they do the
Right.
cross beams that take
Yeah,
out the whole bridge, so you have to like coordinate to make sure you're in the right side
yeah,
and not hitting one of the beams. And
yeah,
that
yeah.
battle
And yeah,
Tuck
sucked.
and roll. Yeah, tuck and roll is your friend on that dang
He
map.
does those
That,
like mortar shots where you
yeah,
don't know
that you
where
have to
to.
shoot out of the air.
Yeah,
yep, that's right. I forgot about those. Oof.
Yeah, you have to shoot all the ads and shoot the mortars that are coming out of the air, and it's not like 1D. I mean, you're looking at a bridge and you're on the bridge, but the enemies spawn on the front and the back side of the bridge, so you're kind of like one person's facing out this way and the other person's facing this way, and you're like, I can't get them all. I need some help on the backside, or whatever. And
Yep.
while
Player
you're also
number three bouncing back. Yeah.
right. And it's a
while
lot
you're
of
watching out,
coordination between your co-op buddies. Again, it's one of those
yeah,
things where
Hmm.
I mean, one of your co-op buddies on one side of the bridge or the other might get swamped with just too many ads, and once you take out your side, it's like you need to turn around and help your buddy out and make sure both sides are clear,
Yeah.
because
right,
you know one side's going to get
yeah,
bombarded compared to the other. So
oh yeah.
once you take your side out, turn yourself around and take the other side out.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
because the way we usually did that one person was constantly on one of the moths or whatever the flying butterfly things are, and the other two were just shooting the ads out of the air or shooting the mortars out of the air, so we could keep constant damage on the boss. And then the person on the boss is also calling out, he's about to do his big blast. Stay away from the left middle of the
Yep.
bridge or the right middle of the bridge or the far right. And so everybody would just try to jostle positions while they're still shooting the stuff out of the air and shooting the
Yeah.
flying trash mobs.
Yeah. It's
So
definitely a game of communication. Every
oh,
level, every level, bosses
oh,
especially. If you got that one buddy who likes, I got this, he ain't got it, and you're all gonna die.
yeah, he's going to be on
yeah.
the ground in a few minutes.
Oh
He
yeah.
ain't
And then you guys would be like, I'm not helping him up. He can
Nope.
stay
Nope.
on the
Nope.
ground.
Nope. No. You can sit there and eat pavement.
Yeah, 'cause that is one of the cool concepts is that your buddy goes down, you can pick them up, so the fight can
right.
continue.
Yep.
Um, I mean, there are points to where you can get permanently killed, so you can't be picked
Yeah.
back up.
You
So,
run out of pots and
Right, and they have the
well,
floating
yeah,
they have the
or
floating
not.
fuels where you have to go and
Yeah.
respawn
yeah,
your friends if they get
right,
permanently
yeah,
killed.
But
yeah,
then what happens is you respawn all the ads.
Yeah,
yeah. That's what I forgot too.
it's
Is
a Dark Souls aspect, and you
that
respawn all
Yeah.
the monsters, and you have to go through it again. Which sometimes that happens. I mean, there's been times when we played, I know, where we just for some reason just something happens and we all like two of us get killed like right at the
Yep.
beginning, and
Yep.
it's just like,
mhm,
whoop, turn around.
Son of a.
Let's try that again,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And it just happens sometimes. Sometimes you'll get some bad. I mean, because like we said, it's procedurally generated. So sometimes you'll get some bad spawns where you're like
mhm,
in the
Oh yeah.
swamp. As an example, we as soon as you start off in the starting zone, you get like three mages in a row,
Yep.
and those mages just they spawn ads. and they're
Yep.
slow and they're hard to hit, and they stay way in the background. So as all these ads are coming out, you're trying to pick them off in the back, and like Patrick said, once you pop their heads off, then they crawl away and they respawn. So
Yeah.
until you get the body, so it's like, there's been times where we've had like 3 or 4 mages just right at the beginning, and it just overwhelms us, and we all
Yep.
die.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is very much Dark Souls because when you consider anytime you rest at the campfire, it just respawns everything. It fills your health back up and all that, but it also respawns all the enemies in the zone. Which sometimes we've done that multiple times to try to get a rare spawn to pop up or something like
Yeah.
that. But it is like I said, it's a great game, and we put a lot of time into
Yeah,
that
we
game.
did. Yeah.
Lots of
But
We need
hours.
to go. We need to go back to and hit that DLC.
yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I'm
I
ready to
agree.
play that
Uh,
DLC. I all but forgot about it until we decided to do this one. I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot about that patient,
Yeah, because we had
whatever.
talked about that during the swamps, because that DLC wasn't out yet. And we talked about playing that DLC when it came out, and I think we
Right.
just got sidetracked with other stuff.
Yep.
So we should definitely check
See,
it out.
I enjoy the game, and I hope I actually hope they make another one rather than just putting out
yes.
DLC. I'd like to do another full one, but I mean, I, when we played, there was only 4 areas. There was Earth, that Yasha, the Ram, and Corsus. The Recium is new, so I mean, we put that much time into just 4 areas. But remember, every area has multiple acts, if you will.
Yeah.
You go through the first part of Earth, and then you go through the second part. And I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, but you go through like so many areas before you get to the end boss of the
Hmm.
zone. And a lot of the areas have like a mini boss before you go on to the next one. And multiple and some and the areas have multiple like ways to get to the end. Like when you're in Earth, you can decide to go down the sewers to go toward the next zone, or you can go find the way around the gate and come in on the and stay street level, or go through the high rise and go high rise level to the next area. So there's multiple ways to go from act to act or from area to area in each zone. So, and that's kind of how you find secrets and find just different bosses and different ways to get through areas. So
Yeah,
it has to, and I just can't put into words how much exploration there is for a game that you redo the same level over and over and over.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Now the levels aren't small though. I mean, the levels are really big. So you got to make sure that it's not like walk down the street. I mean, it's a good chunk of town, and then you got a big old chunk of sewer system and just multiple fairly large areas. I mean, you can't just walk one into the other in a minute. I mean, it takes time.
Well,
yeah.
and you're not
I mean,
and you're not just like go
oh,
ahead, Nick.
sorry. Yeah, and and that's what comes in with the procedurally generated stuff. I mean, there's so much change that happens through when you load up a map, that even though it is a long track, like you said, Shane, from point A to point B, in between each sector, but there's so much that's changed. It's like you
Hmm.
just want to keep playing to see what's going to change this time, what items are going to drop this time, what enemies are going to see, because sometimes certain enemies just don't spawn, right?
Yeah.
You go through a map like 10 times, and the 11th time you're like, where'd that enemy come from? I never seen that here before. And
This is a different fog wall than we're used to seeing.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
a boss here that we never see spawn, and all that type of stuff happens. And yeah, I mean, this game, if they make a number two, if they just take what they have now, make it bigger and better and just more stuff, it would be an instant hit for us.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because this
Yeah.
game already is an instant hit, and if they just take that formula and just expand on it with the second one, I'm all for it.
Oh yeah,
Oh, here, here.
I yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, we've spent a lot of hours in it. That's how much we've liked it. And the game's been out since 2019, and we come back to it from time to time. We came back for the DLC, the three of us, and then, the patient, the new patient at DLC. I guarantee we'll play through that one and try to get through we'll get through the end of it.
Yeah.
Um, so
The only problem they need to fix with the sequel, because they need to make it 4 player. I just we've got a group of 4, and somebody's
Hey,
sidelining. But it is a fantastic game, and I believe it was you, Nick, that brought this to our attention. And we were like, we'll check it out, and we lived on it for a while. I mean, it's just that good. It truly is.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it, I don't know how to. I mean, it's it's a they call it like a shooter, but there's aspects of RPG in it. There's not like I mean, there's not like stats per se, but there's more like there's different weapons and different armor,
Yeah,
and you can upgrade your weapons and armor to give them better stats. You know,
yeah,
you
it's
can,
Right.
RPG light.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know, it's you can increase your weapons damage by upgrading it because to upgrade it, you got to get these special items that you only get from killing bosses on harder levels and stuff
Mhm.
like that. You get materials, and then there's the old hag lady, the half tree, half woman that you turn in
Yeah,
things to increase your pot health, the amount of pots that you can use, or the amount of health that you
Right.
can gain by doing that stuff. So it has upgrade components like that.
It's like Dark Souls made an FPS. Pretty
Yeah,
much. I mean, it's got a lot of Dark Souls feel to it, but it's its own thing too. It doesn't feel like Dark Souls with just guns, And I mean, it does in a sense, but they brought in enough of their own flavor that it feels different than
unique.
Dark Souls. Yeah, more unique than
Yeah,
Dark Souls, in that
yeah,
sense. Away from Dark Souls, where you're not like, oh, this is just Dark Souls with instead of swords, they're using pistols, right?
yeah.
It's
right,
more like they brought their own thing. They just taken that formula and evolved it in this one
Mhm.
in this
right.
game.
Yeah, because I mean, I will admit, I'm not a huge fan of Dark Souls. Dark Souls drives me crazy to
Yep.
no end, and and I was a little leery of this one because Nick was like, "Oh, it's kind of Dark Souls esque with guns," and I'm like, "Oh man, are we? What are you?" So I'm like, "There's single player," and he's like, "Oh no, there's co-op," and I'm like, "Oh, that's good because I don't know how I'm going to handle a single player Dark Souls with guns." But it was fun enough that I played a little bit of it by myself, and I don't, and like I said, I'm not a huge Dark Souls fan. I usually can get a few hours in here and there before I get frustrated with Dark
Yeah.
Souls, but this one, as much as we died sometimes, it wasn't frustration. It was just more like, what did we do? How do we get around this guy? How do we get past this
Yeah.
section we're
It
stuck
always did feel like you were just trying to learn better instead of
in?
just getting aggravated. Yeah, I definitely agree with
Right,
that. But it's a co-op game that is just you want to play with people you like, people you know. It's
right,
not one I would jump into a random stranger game though, because you have to communicate. I mean, our group, we play together. That's our thing. So we know each other. We can always, count on listening and paying attention and working together. And that's what you need on this game.
yep,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. One of the things that obviously, like I said, it felt like working. It felt like the old MMO days when you were in a raiding guild and you were in a pretty good progression raiding guild. I mean, I don't know if you guys have played a lot of MMOs in the past, but there's two types of guilds that you get into that are raiding guilds. Back in the day, was you get into that progression group that has like the team that can, they try a boss a couple of times and then something clicks, and like the third time, it's like everybody's coordinating perfectly, and that's how it feels. And then you get into those guilds that are just horrible, and you wipe on the same boss like 12 times, and you're like, why? Stop, stay out of the crap on the ground. But
Yeah.
this game, even though sometimes we do have to do a boss like 5 times before we figure it out, it never feels like we're just banging our heads on something. It's like, oh, I didn't know that he did that.
Yeah.
And because we'll get a little bit further, and you're like, oh, he throw that on the ground. Can we stop that, or don't run into that? That kills you in one hit, or something like that.
Yeah, got to pay attention because they all, I mean, it's very old school. They all have a tell. You got to pay
yeah,
attention to that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, this game is a lot. It's like I said, it's a lot of fun, and for those individuals listening, if you haven't tried this game out, pick it up because especially with some co-op buddies to play with, it's
Hmm.
worth every penny for this one.
Hmm.
Yeah. And right now you can get it cheap with all the DLC. I mean, it's it is definitely in our top, probably top 10 of last year easily.
For sure.
Right. Yep. And it's made by one of Nick's favorite publishers who does MMOs. Perfect World.
Oh, Perfect World. I don't know about
Uh,
that.
Yeah.
I don't know about my favorite publisher. Perfect World doesn't make a lot of or doesn't support a lot
I
of
mean,
MMOs that I like. But
well, I mean,
uh,
they do one MMO that you keep going back to and keep getting me back into.
what's that?
What's the story based MMO that you kept dragging me into? Um, oh my god, what is the? It's kind of like why am I drawing a blank on this one for their uh I don't even remember the name of the MMO they make now. For some reason, I can't think of it. But
I think a lot of them now.
wasn't it called? I can't even remember what it was called now. But it has like the world's being taken over by uh I remember it just has a giant
oh,
tree with all the portals and stuff.
yeah, me and you did the beta for it Nick, years back. Secret World?
Secret World? No,
Uh,
Funcom does
No,
Secret World.
yeah, I
no.
can't remember which
Rift?
one it was,
Is
but
it Rift?
I don't know. Perfect World does. They don't do Rift, do they? I thought that was
No.
NC.
I don't think it's. I don't think they do.
Mm. We'll think of it when we get off, and then
Yeah.
I'll be like, crap.
Yeah. Welcome to what's the name of that game channel?
But
I
you know,
don't.
it was
I don't remember
you
what
know I don't.
games.
Yeah, I can't remember now, but it came from Gunfire Studios, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know a whole lot of their games. I mean,
Mm-mm.
they did Darksiders 3, I think. I think they're the ones that did that one.
Uh,
Um,
Gunfire Games have done some pretty good games in the past. I'm trying to think of some of their older games. So they do Darksiders 3, which is pretty good. They did do Darksiders 2, which a lot of people liked.
Yeah.
okay, I know that one. I thought they just did 3, but
Yeah, well, it looks like they did the definitive edition. So I don't know if they did the original and just worked on the definitive portion of it, or if they did it all.
hmm,
And then the rest of their games, I haven't heard of. They did From Other Suns and Hero
yep, I remember
Bound,
that.
Spirit Champion, Dead and
Hmm,
Buried. I've never heard of those
I've
games.
heard of Dead and Buried.
Well, they did that game.
hmm,
Never played it, just heard of it. But if they've got the credentials, to make something that's good, I'd like to see what they come up with next.
Well, Dead
yeah,
and Buried looks kind of neat, but
hmm. Might check that one out.
yeah,
Huh?
maybe.
Oh yeah, they do. This game is a must play in my opinion. If you have a group of friends who play games, I mean, even if it's only two
Absolutely.
players. I mean, there's been plenty of times where just me and Nick played, or me and Shane played, or Nick
Yep.
and Shane played together, and then myself and Russ played together when we were on. But I mean, I think the three of us put way more time in it than Russ did. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he would play with me a couple times, and he'd play with me and Nick, and but most of the time it was like, if I think there for a solid month, if either any of us were on, it was like, hey, you guys want to jump in and play
Yeah.
this together?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, it's just that good of a game. It truly is. I mean, our normal game is typically at that time would have been Rainbow. We jump in, we just BS, shoot some things, blah blah blah. But man, we were hardcore up on this game for a long while.
yep, we
Yeah,
made
and
it
if
long
this
enough to
game
beat it.
had a live service or they just did content updates, every month or so, I think we would probably still be playing this game. I mean, we
Yep.
want to go back to for the new DLC for the Prisoner DLC, but without them adding, I think that's the last thing they were going to add to this game was that DLC. So I don't think they're going to do any more to it. So pretty much what it
Yeah.
is what it is now.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll make a number two or something like that. I hope they continue to branch out with this franchise.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
price to content, well worth it. Well worth it.
Yep, definitely worth the buy. I mean, we bought it when it first came out, and we still played a lot of it. So, I
Yeah,
mean, we bought it when it at full prices. I'm trying to say, and then we
Yeah.
even bought DLC, which, as Nick mentioned, we're as a group we are wholly usually against DLC.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
But amazing game. Everybody should give it a try. Uh, and we had more on our hidden gems episode we did, so go check it out to find more games like this too.
yep. Any parting words on this one?
Pick it up.
yeah. Pick it up. No matter what price it is, you should play it.
Yep.
Well,
You
maybe
get the
not
group.
whatever price.
No, it's $100, maybe not, but I
Yeah.
mean,
I
even
don't know.
at like, I don't think this was a full price $60 game when we bought it either.
I think it was 40 at
Yeah, it was
the
like
time.
40 or $50. So
But
even at
even
that
at
price,
$60 right now, it's
even at
well worth
yeah, if this game came out at $60, um, knowing what I know about it, I would definitely pick it up because we put way more than $60 worth of hours into this game.
it. Yeah.
Yep. If the expansion came out, or not the expansion, but if they put out a part two and it was $60, I'd pick it up.
Oh,
Oh,
for sure.
yep, no doubts.
Cool. All right. Well, if you got a group of friends, if you got one or two friends, or if there's a posse of three, pick it up. It's a good game. But if there's four of you, somebody's going to be playing the fourth wheel.
Oh yeah.
They're going to.
Yeah.
All right.
And let us know if you guys have any games like this that we don't know about that we should check out.
Yeah. Or if you played
Yep.
this game, tell us how
Yeah.
much you like
Yeah. Let
it,
us know.
or you don't.
Or yeah, if you didn't like it, let us know what you didn't like about it.
Yeah.
We like feedback. So all right. Well, that's our spiel for Remnant from Ashes. We hope to catch you in the next episode.